My name's Anna Floyd, and I have lived in Jonesborough I'll have to think about it, because I moved here when I was 5. I turned 6 in Jonesborough, and then I moved away when I was 18, so what do we have there, 12 years, and then I moved back at 29, and now I'm 38, so that's another 9, so 21? I can drink legally! So my parents lived out in Gray. My mom had moved to Jonesborough in the mid-70s when her parents were here. My grandfather was a part of getting the med school. He was one of the first presidents at the med school. And so they moved here for that. So my mom moved here with her parents when she was 25, just trying to figure out where her next steps were in her career, and stayed. Met my dad in the early 80s, and then he was living in Gray at the time, but I think she wanted to come back to Jonesborough. And we moved into the Bank and Trust building right next to the Main Street Cafe. They renovated it and turned it into an apartment condo sort of thing. So I spent from 6 to 16 there. Which was really cool. It was great. I mean, we would just ride our bikes everywhere. We were the feral children of Jonesborough, of our generation, for sure. So I moved away for college. I really never planned to come back, just because this really wasn't a very safe place for a gay person. I had a lot of trauma from growing up here, but when I was 28, 29, I was in between what I was gonna do. I lived in Asheville for 8 years. It really allowed me to be exactly who I was, and that felt really nice, and I was scared to come back and not feel as safe doing that, whether it was safety in physical safety or just for my own mental health. But I mean, Jonesborough had kind of changed in the 10 years that I was gone, and I had changed a lot in the 10 years that I was gone. I became more comfortable with who I was and had the space to be able to explore that. After a year, I was like, you know what, this isn't so bad. There's actually some decent people, some young people who are moving here who either are from here and reestablishing themselves, or moved here and are establishing themselves, and I was like, this actually feels nice. Growing up here and wanting to have the space to figure out who I was without feeling like I was being watched was tough, because whether you want it or not, people in Jonesborough notice what's going on. And I think for a young person who needed to really figure things out, it was important for me to leave. So that was a hard time for me in my relationship with Jonesborough. And now, it's yeah, they still all know what's going on, but I also feel, for the most part, with most people, that that's a good thing. That I know that my neighbors are concerned. When you're 18, you don't want your neighbors to be concerned with you. And some people never want their neighbors to be concerned with you, in which case I say, do not move to Jonesborough. They will concern themselves about you. As the poem Lovely Bones goes, we can make this place beautiful. Good Bones, actually, by Maggie Smith.
Thank you.
The last lines are, this place could be beautiful, right? You can make this place beautiful. That was my hope, and I had a home, so that's a lot of how I've approached this place since I've moved back. There are a lot of things that are flawed for me personally, but it's so special. And at least for the last 10 years, minus a few COVID years, those were weird. It felt and has felt like there's a lot of continued investment in making this place nice, in making Jonesborough a good place. So the Possum's Tail kind of grew out of COVID. Elena and I had started watching a bunch of British murder mysteries. Half the time they would end up at a pub, and, you know, in some form they were living their lives with the pub. We thought it would be fun to be the space that people collect, and we had both worked at the Corner Cup, and that had the same sort of thing, and we were wanting to do something more nighttime. I'm more of a nighttime person myself. Elena is just a gifted cook. She just can cook really well. You know, I convinced her that she should open a restaurant with me, and we did it, and we're doing it, and it's been exactly what we hoped it would be. Nobody has talked to us about any murders yet to solve, but that's okay. I'm sure there will be time. I just want to go in and have a nice day with my coworkers and provide a safe place for them to be, provide a safe place for me to be, hopefully a safe place for many of our patrons who don't necessarily feel safe in all places in this area, which is not something you can just like plaster on your wall, because that's not safe either necessarily to be a target. So I think it's been definitely a project of love for the community. I'm so grateful to the people of Jonesborough for supporting us, for coming out and supporting us every single week. And they were always going to do that. Thankfully, I think they actually like our food too, which is nice. But they will show up for you over and over and over again. And it's felt so rewarding to be fed back, you know, to receive that back, to receive that support back. It just makes me, grateful. Very grateful. That's what these town folk do. They give back when they're able, and when they love you, and it feels special. It feels very special to have grown up with many of these people, knowing me as a small child and knowing me now in a different way feels really unique. I know that Jonesborough has very active people in town on both sides of our political spectrum, and for so many years we've coexisted really well, and I think that comes from mutual respect and hopefully mutual love. It's hard when you know that legislation goes on that by some folks that you know is not pro you, but still all we can do is, which is what I've been trying so hard to do, is just, you know, be yourself, love yourself, and hope that comes back to you.
Do you consider yourself a Jonesboroughian?
I mean, yeah, I grew up on Main Street, so definitely, yeah. It's hard to imagine me living anywhere else in this area. There are times that are hard because of the political differences just really throughout this entire state that make it really not feel like a place you want to be, and a place that you want to be putting your energy and love into. But I've never really thought about leaving. No, my parents are here, and at this point, you know, it's like they aren't going anywhere. So, and they're getting older, and it's nice to feel like I can be right there. And I own my house, which is a huge safety net, and I feel so grateful, and I love it, and we've put so much work into it. So no, even though they try to get us down, it kind of has made me more stubborn about it. Like, no, we belong here too.
Do you think there's a risk of losing anything that makes Jonesborough Jonesborough with the growth?
Absolutely. Of course, that's one of the fears of change, right? You hope that when people move it here that they're kind of buying into what we have, and when they come here and they see that this is a really sweet, cute town, that they know what that means and what that comes with. But you can't tell people to do that, right? Like, me getting mad or being afraid that these foreigners are going to come ruin our town isn't really helping us all transition, because that's what it is. It's just a transition. So I try to stay optimistic about it, and hope that the reason that they're moving here is because they like the town and what it offers. And I think most people who move to town are feeling that way.